Today, I'm going to show you how to go from this to this. It's easier than you think.
Be strong.
Okay, I started cutting my sister's hair when she was out here for a visit, and it dawned on me I should record this. So I'm going to be showing you some things that we did. So in the before picture that you saw that she had a lot of flippage in the back. So I had already cut this section, but I'm going to go through it to show you the angles that I did. I parted the hair from the O bone to the back of the ear, and then I sectioned it, and I did 45-degree angles, as you could see right there, working in a, like 1-inch sections, a traveling guide, and my sections are going kind of at a 45-degree angle. They're radiating towards the ear. And you'll see that I point that out here in just a second. I've already cut this section, so that's why I'm not really cutting anything. Again, it dawned on me after I cut it. I was like, hey, this would make a great video. So I'm showing you right here the angles of it. See how it radiates around? And then right here, I am checking it. So I just took a little swipe at the top, and it should all even out. There you go. Now we're going to do the other side, and you can see how it's not laying correctly. I'm doing the same thing, starting in the middle, 45-degree angle. You can see this a little bit better. I hated that my camera was off just a little bit. I just did this on my phone, so I apologize. And you'll see that throughout the video, just a little bit that it's a tad bit off, but hopefully you'll see how this is cut. Again, taking 1-inch sections, and I'm holding my fingers at a 45-degree angle. As you can see right there, see how I'm resting my knuckles on the back of her neck? That really does give you some stabilization when you're cutting these tight necklines. You could also do this when you're starting a pixie cut. Again, see how my angles are? This makes it so it really does hug the back of the neck. What she wanted and what she couldn't get her hairstylist at home to she couldn't communicate it, was that she wanted a stacked bob. That's what she kept calling it. You can call it an elevated bob. You could, I don't know, but she wanted a stacked bob. And she went to 3 different places, and none of them were doing this. So the trick is that 45-degree angle from the O bone to the neckline. And you really want to cut it in smaller sections so you can control the movement. You can see how this is laying down so nice. I could watch something like this all day. I don't know about you guys. But when the hair behaves because of the haircut, it's so rewarding. There we go. And here you go. I'm double checking it, cross checking it. You can see where I just have to clean up my line just a smidgen. Again, I apologize for the camera work. If I would have known I was out of the frame, I would have adjusted, but that's what you get when you're doing it on your phone, right? See how nicely that lays down? Love it. Okay, now we're going to work in the next section. Oh, sorry, no. We got to check it. Before you move to the next section, you've got to check, make sure that it's even. And this is how I do that. I just pull some hairs from different areas. Now we're going to move to the next section. So here you see, I'm going to find the round of the head. That's where I'm going to section for the next section to the back of the ear. And if you have trouble sectioning hair cleanly, you might want to watch my video on how to section the hair. Again, you want to make sure your sections are even. Okay, so take a look at them, make sure that they are even on the head so you get a balanced haircut. We start in the middle of the head in the back, again, working at a 45-degree angle. See my finger movement? And again, taking those same same sections, kind of pivoting around the head. I apologize for the background noise. It's my dog scooting around the floor. I can't really edit it out because I'm talking. Again, 45-degree angle, pivoting pretty much using a traveling guide. I'm kind of pointing my fingers kind of where I want that hair to move, if you will, right? You can see how it lays down so nicely. She's got great hair. If you can't see your guide, take less hair. See how I lifted the hair up there to see my guide underneath? That's what you're cutting to. Don't cut your guide, just cut to your guide. And see that little piece right there? That's the length. I don't want to cut that length off because I don't want her to have a hole in the back behind her ear. Taking off just a smidgen more here because it wasn't laying down right. Always check that, comb through your section, see if it looks right to you. And I'm going to show you, there's a little piece right there. See that? You can tell it wasn't laying down right. It was too heavy, see that? So you just pick it up and you cut that little tiny bit off. Sometimes just seeing a visual of it helps. Now we're going to work on the other side, doing the very same thing. Holding it out, 45-degree angle, meeting up to your guide. Make sure you can see your guide underneath what you're cutting. My sections are pivoting, kind of like a wagon wheel, kind of, from that top center section. If you need a head sheet on how to do this, just let me know in the show notes. And if you're liking what you're seeing, be sure to subscribe, like the video so you'll be notified when the next video comes out. I've heard a lot of feedback from people that these types of videos are really what you're loving. I have to thank you for making my texturizing shear videos so popular. I'm going to make a few more videos on how to use those texturizing shears in different ways. Like right here, I could have used the texturizing shears. What I'm doing right here is taking just that tiny, tiny tip of that weight off. And what that's going to do, you could see that. See how that's softening that up right there? All that is that tiny tip. So you hold it out at 90 degrees. Find that tip right there. And just take that off. Just that, you're not taking any more of the length off, just that tip. Now you could do these with your texturizing shears too. All right, now we're going to move to the next section. Again, you use your comb to find the next round of the head. And then you're going to take down both sections. She already had the basic haircut in here, but it is flipping, as you can see. And make sure that you're looking at how her hair is moving. See, she has a little bit of a movement back there, a little calic, a little whirl, if you will. So you want to make sure you take that in consideration. When you get to that point, you want to make sure you're not using tension in the hair. See how I don't have tension, and I'm point cutting. That is another security so you don't have harsh lines, because she's got so much movement back there, it's going to bounce around when it's dry, and you just want that soft blending. Okay, so that's why we're point cutting. Now you don't have to point cut, but you'll get a softer finish. And I always say to point cut when you do have those cowlicks. Not always, okay, but in a situation like this, again, it's your safety net. That way it won't bounce up on you. And again, no tension in these areas, no tension at that back center. See how much hair she had right behind her ear? Now I am over directing this back a little bit. You can see how I'm pulling my fingers back, but I'm still maintaining that same 45-degree angle of my finger. I'm basically cutting it the direction I want it to lay, the movement I want in the haircut. Okay, now I'm taking from the other side. Again, this is where that bounce is. And you could tell she doesn't really have much to cut on that side, because probably the previous stylist cut too much because she held the tension too tight. Did you notice that the other side had more hair to cut? Again, you can see this on this side a little bit better than you could the other side because of the angle of the camera. But you can see how I'm holding my fingers the direction that I want the hair to flow. And it's basically a 45-degree angle. And I'm over directing, pulling the hair back into the previous section. That's going to maintain that length in the front. You don't want to take off too much. You can always come back and cut more, but you sure can't add the hair back. So I always over direct, especially right around the ear there, just to give yourself some wiggle room on that length of hair. Again, when it's dry, when you're finished with the whole haircut, if you need to adjust or personalize some things, you could do it then. But see, I'm not on top of the ear. That would take off too much hair. I want it to remain, I want some length to remain in the front. Yay. See how nice that lays? All right. Now you want to make sure you maintain wetness throughout. Okay, so if you have to respray the hair, respray the hair. Up here, I'm finding the top of the head, and now we're going to finish off the back section. If you haven't seen the video on how I find the top of the head with my comb, I would definitely recommend that. I'm just sectioning the other side right here. As you can see, right behind the ear. Again, if you're struggling with sectioning, go back and watch my sectioning video. And here, I really do apologize for the camera angle. I really hate the fact that you're looking at the trees and not where I'm cutting. I hate that. However, maybe I can explain it a little bit. All I'm doing is going in and holding that at a 90-degree straight out and a 90-degree straight up. And I'm just taking barely those tiny, tiny tips off, because that's all you're going to do is you're going to blend it to the section below. And the reason why I bring it up straight up is it's going to just soften that. See how that softens that? And man, I'm kicking myself. I didn't check the angle of this camera. But you could see just barely, just those tiny tips. And again, if you want to point cut this, create a little bit more softness, a little bit more forgiveness, do that. All right. Notice how I'm over directing. I'm bringing it back What over direction means is I'm pulling it back away from the ear to maintain that length. I don't want to cut a hole right there. So I'm bringing it back and blending it all in. So that way when it lays down, see how nice that is? All right, let's see if the camera's a little bit better on the other side. Hate that. I'll try to make another video of this haircut on a doll head. That might help you. But what I'm doing is I'm holding it straight out. You saw it in that one shot. Taking just those little tips off and then holding it up. Now I'm cross-checking. I take a little triangle on the top of the head. Do this all the time. And I just hold it straight up to see if my sides are even. And if not, I just point cut them. They even out. That's a simple little trick. I love that. Again, it's just a little saving grace. Now this is where I'm checking the length. I don't know about you, but I always have a side that I leave longer, and it's always the left side. So always check your length. Right behind the ears, just take a little piece of hair, hold them to see it, and make sure you're even before you start the front of the haircut. So here we're going to start the front, and I'm just finding the curve of the head, the parietal ridge right there, and I'm going from the back of the head to the front, again in the direction and that angle. See that section is going to be the same angle as what I'm going to be cutting. Make sure it's good and wet. Make sure you spray it down. The first thing we're going to do is find the length that we're going to cut to, and here I'm holding it at the angle I want, making sure there's no tension. So see how I just tapped above the ear? That's going to release that tension in the hair so you don't have any pop-ups. And if you don't know what I mean by pop-up, what I mean is, have you ever done a bob and you finish it and you've got that little tiny divot right around the hairline, around the ear? And again, my stupid camera work. I hate that. I hate it. But all I'm doing is, maybe I'm getting the camera a little bit better. All I'm doing is I'm sectioning 1-inch sections, and I'm over directing it to the back of the ear. Again, protecting that length in the front. And I'm just connecting the dots from the back. That way, again, when your hair lays down, it's all going to blend together. I can't believe my fingers are right off the screen. That's so bad. Maybe the next side it'll be better. Then I drop down the top of it and do the same thing. Same exact thing. No tension. I'm going to hold it. See how I'm taking my sections at a 45-degree angle, and I'm holding everything right behind her ear. I'm over directing everything right behind her ear. What that does is it protects the length in the front. You don't want to take off too much hair in the front. See, right behind the ear. And if you can kind of give yourself that imaginary point to remember, that'll save you in so many different things, like pixies, bobs. Imaginary point right behind the ear. And then you can see how wonderful that just all comes together. Woohoo! That is so satisfying, don't you think? Maybe you can see it better on the other side. I know you can definitely see this where we part it from the parietal ridge to the top of the head. See that? Again, it's see that angle of that part? That's the angle of the hairline that we're trying to achieve. So if you can match that up. See that? It's a little bit longer on that side in the front. So what we do is we find the length that we want it, release that tension, and then cut that off. Excuse me. And right here, before I would move on, I would make sure that my two links in the front, that's what I'm doing right there, are even before I start anything else. Just always double check yourself. You don't want to have to recut the whole haircut because you forgot to check. Have you ever done that where you've cut the hair and got all the way through it, and then you look at it when it's done and one side's not even, and then you have to go and redo the whole thing? It's not good. Doesn't feel good. Again, I'm cutting at a 45-degree angle where I want the hair to go, and I'm holding my guide behind her ear. You can see this a lot better on this side. That's so good. And I'm not cutting her length. You want to make sure you're preserving that length, so that's where you're meeting up. So I'm going right behind her ear, combing everything to it. Find your guide. And I'm bringing everything back again behind her ear. I can't emphasize that enough. Behind her ear. All right, we're dropping the last section down. Finding our guide right behind her ear, 45-degree angle. See it? There is a method to the madness, right? It's 45-degree angles. And I'm see how I'm combing it back to me? I'm combing it back to me, right behind her ear, holding it up. I'm actually holding it at a 45 angle from her head as well. So see how I'm not up, I'm not straight out from the head. I'm down at a 45-degree angle. I'm combing it down to a 45-degree angle, holding my fingers at a 45-degree angle, and then cutting. Just keep that all in mind. Okay, and now what I'm doing is I am making sure that the top blends with the back. So I always do a mohawk section, bring it up, take a little, and this is going to connect the sides to make sure that they're even. And so if there's any unevenness, I just point cut. Again, my stupid camera work. I hate that. I'm sorry for that, but I'm pulling it straight up and I'm just point cutting to blend the sections together. Okay, I'm taking a little bit from the crown area to connect the back. So that's going to give me my guide to the back of the head. And then my guide to the front of the head happens to be her bang area, her fringe area. So I'm just connecting the dots. And I'm only doing it to the round of the head or the parietal ridge. So I'm only bringing that hair up. I'm not bringing all the hair up, just to the parietal ridge, bringing it straight up and connecting the dots. What that's going to do, it's going to blend the front to the back. Going to connect the haircut. Here I'm just double checking because I see something that's just not tidy. You can always clean this up after you dry it too. In fact, I'd probably recommend that. And now we want to take a look at the neckline. Now her neckline's already been cut from a previous haircut. See how it's shaved underneath? In fact, they shaved it way up. I probably wouldn't have done that. I probably would have, I don't know what I would have done because I don't know what it was, but see how it's shaved up? And you could do that. If they've got really, really thick hair, shave it up underneath. Here, I'm going to use my feather razor to just give her a really soft neckline. It also cleans up all those little tiny hairs. Do what you feel best. Personalize this. This is all your creative, artistic part. This is what makes your haircut your haircut. You can make it as feathery as you want, or you can make a really sharp line too. You can go in there with your clippers if you wanted to and really sharpen it up. Myself, I kind of prefer the softness. Okay, here's the haircut. Now we're going to style it. So I'm putting on a volumizing mousse on her root area to give her some volume, because she said that she likes big hair. However, she's my sister. She has curly hair. So the rest of her hair, I'm putting a straightening balm. It's got a, it fights humidity. So I'm putting a straightening balm on there. I think it's called I'll have to look. I'll put it in the show notes. And I'm putting that throughout the rest of her hair. Just work it in, especially the hairline. If those ladies with curly hair, that hairline gets out of control. And here we are. We're going to start our blow dry. I love to blow dry 80% dry with my fingers first. Okay. Now you got to remember this. We want this hairstyle to hug the neck area. So you're not going to make this full in the back. I'm using my hands, pushing it forward because that's really where I want it to lay. When I get to the round of the head, I start blow drying straight up because we want some volume back there. That's what she said. And see how I'm, here in a minute, I start ruffling the root area. Remember when I said she had that little whirl in the back right there? How you get rid of that in the blow dry is you ruffle it up. We want some volume. I'm picking the hair up. I'm just blow drying the root area from the curve of the head up. Curve of the head up. Maybe you can see it on this side. Curve of the head up. See how I'm picking it up? I'm getting her some volume up top. We don't want volume on the sides on this haircut. So only until the parietal ridge, and see how I'm going to blow dry the rest down. So I'm picking up my round brush. I'm building it in some volume underneath, but still I want that neckline to lay smooth. I want it to lay down nice and neat. Okay, this is just connecting the dots. We're basically just building that volume in. We're activating that volumizing mousse that we just put on. Okay. See how I'm picking it up away from her head? I'm not holding it down. The only time I'm dropping my round brush down is so I want to smooth the ends down. And you'll see that when I get to the top too. And I could tell that it's not completely dry under there. Make sure your blow dries are completely dry. I always know that right behind the ear, oh my gosh, especially when you're starting out in your career, it's almost like you're afraid to get in there and really blow dry the hair. But I can guarantee you, clients know when their hair is not blow dried 100%. And if you don't get it 100% dry, if it's still 99.9% dry and not 100, and they have curly hair, it'll frizz back up. Guarantee you, 100%. So don't be afraid to completely dry the hair. And when you think it's dry it some more. Okay, right up here at the crown of her hair, see how I'm picking my round brush straight up in the air to build that volume at the crown, okay? But I'm picking it straight up from the curve of the head, okay? And then I bring it down to smooth it out. Now here on the sides of her hair, I always teach to hold your round brush the same angle as your cheekbone. See how my round brush is going same angle as her cheekbone? That's gonna save you. You know how when you blow dry hair and you're blow drying it towards the face and then you can't get it, it just doesn't look right? If you do your blow dries on the side of your head and you hold that round brush the same angle as their cheekbone, oh my gosh. They're going to think you're magic. First of all, it opens the eye up. It makes the hair move better on their head. It's just my little magic trick I love to do. But it's right there around her hairline. That's where you do it. Now see how I'm going in and I'm holding the hair out, but then I'm dragging it down. Because I want volume at the root, but I don't want I don't want her to have round hair. Okay, so if I kept my round brush straight out at a 90 and let that set, she would have round hair. Okay, I want volume, and then I want to drag my round brush down. See how what that's doing is it's smoothing the hair out and then down. Okay, you want that volume. See how it's popping up her roots? You want that. You don't want the roundness on the bottom, on the ends of her hair. That's what I'm trying to say. You don't want it to like scoop under. You know, you don't want old lady hair. You want this modern look. That's what you want. Here, a lot of people have a hard time on the hairline. Again, if you hold your brush the same angle as that cheekbone, okay, and you get some volume under there, we'll show you in just a little bit how to deal with the hairline when you're done. And if they have kind of a crazy hairline, start at the hairline, okay? Like, I know myself on my hair, I always have to start at my hairline, because if I didn't, it would dry so funky, I wouldn't know what to do. So if they have a lot of cowlicks on their hairline, blow dry their hairline first. It's okay. And then start at the back and then work your way to the front. And here I'm going straight up in the air to build that volume, and then I'm releasing it. Straight up, but I'm not holding my round brush as a curler, if you will. I'm straight up, okay, building that volume, but as soon as I get to the tips, then I'm holding it down. See that? Down, smoothing it out. There you go. And you could tell where it's not completely dry. That's what I'm doing here. Sorry for my arm. Nice camera work. All right, again, dragging it down. After you build the volume in it, you want to drag it down. And here what I'm doing is just going in there and messing it all up and feeling where it isn't dry, because you can feel that with your fingers. Actually, when you go in there and you do this, if it feels cold, that means it's still wet. Just a little tip there. Now we're going to move to the other side. See how much curl, I mean, she has curlier hair than I do. She just flat irons it all the time. All right, we're going in there. See that wetness behind the ear? Oh my goodness, don't leave that wet. Oh my goodness. All right, we're getting some volume, but then we're going to pull it down. Pull down. Okay? And then at her face, right at her hairline, see how I'm holding my round brush the same angle as her cheekbone. Straight out, the same angle as the cheekbone. A lot of people don't realize how to blow dry around the face, and they struggle with that. This will, oh my gosh, this will be your saving grace. Same angle. Then pull down a little bit more. I always pull down, not always obviously, but I try to pull down the sections that's the same width as whatever brush you're using. So see how I'm using this like 1 inch, 1.5 inch, I don't know what it is, 1 inch brush. Then it would work in 1 inch sections, taking those down so you could control the hair. Again, I'm working at the angle of her cheekbone. See how my round brush is kind of at an angle there? It's not going towards her face. And then I build that volume in, and then I pull it down. It's going to give you that smoothness you're looking for. And then that way you don't have to whip out your flat iron either. The higher I get on the head, the higher my brush goes. Because you can notice when I'm on top of her hair, my brush goes straight up in the air. Whereas on her bridal ridge, it came out at like, I don't know, 90 degrees. So the higher you get on the head, the higher the brush. Now I'm just kind of working around her fringe area. Want to make sure that's good and dry. Brushing it back and forth, back and forth. You don't want this to be a bubble bang like it used to be in the 80s. So all I'm doing is pulling it and using my round brush almost like a flat iron because that metal core of the brush really works that way. And then I'm over directing her crown area and pushing it back because she likes a lot of volume. Trust me, I know my sister. She likes volume. Not too much. I mean, we're not in the 80s. I'm over directing it, letting it set, and then pushing it back. Okay, getting it dry, using my little chicken arm there, using my round brush like a flat iron almost, and then over directing it back. Now, this is usually when you have to go in and kind of personalize the front a little bit, work it a little bit. I'm over directing the sides so it goes how I want it to flow. So I'm bringing that section over, kind of over directing it past her nose and then over. And then I'm going in and doing that trick where I do with my hands. You just mess all that up. So you've just set her hair with your round brush. And now you're going to mess it all up. Shove that hair around. Don't be afraid of getting in there. Making sure it's all dry, actually. This is where you're going to get all that movement. And you're going to play. And you're going to have fun with the hair. And it makes it look like it's not set, if you will. Because you don't want it to look like, oh, you just round brushed your hair, or oh, you just took your hair out of curlers. No, I didn't like how the front of her hair dried, and I don't want to whip out my flat iron. So just go in and use your round brush. Use the tools. Don't make it harder than it has to be. Okay? I just felt like her front of her hair was flat compared to the volume she had in the back. So what I'm doing there is I go in, I put a little volume in, let it set, and then I pull it. I can't tell you how much fun I had doing her hair. She came out for a visit to our new house, and she was just like, man, I just can't find a hairstylist that gets me. And I was like, are you sure? Is this what you want? She goes, I want it to stack. I want it. And I was like, are you sure stack? And I showed her a picture, and she goes, that's what I want. I'm like, okay. And her hair does such a beautiful job at this. Again, I'm going in, I'm checking with my fingers, make sure everything's dry, messing it up, making it fun. Look at that. Look at that. And now I'm grabbing my vest finger comb. I love my vest finger comb. And look how magical that is. Oh my gosh. She's got such great hair. Great hair. And as you're doing this, you want to show your guests too how to do this. You know, you want them to be able to style their hair too. This is when you'd also go in, maybe spray some texturizing spray, some texturizing paste, something like that. You could do that too. That would help control those little flyaway hairs that you see hanging on her nose. And there you have it, the finished product. I love it. Thanks for watching. If this helped you at all, make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment. Let me know if it helped at all. Thanks again for watching.